Hello, hello, welcome back to my channel. This is a channel for project managers, especially in data engineers who are dealing with lot of data analytics, data engineering projects, and data science projects, and also the latest Gen AI projects. So I would like to discuss today one of the data ingestion project that I have dealt recently, and I would give you a walkthrough of what is the agenda of the project and how, as a technical project manager, I have navigated through this project. Here I'm not going into very detail. Our lot of the folks in the current world have faced similar kind of projects, and I would like to know more about how you have done that. But for now, I think we'll get started with how to deal with such projects and how I have dealt with. So the data ingestion project is for a big financial institute which is into insurance and financial retirement funds, and it has lot of customers who would be doing lot of transactions for their day to day activities, and this is for them. This is for those clients. And what here really we have done is we have ingested the data from one source, or two, rather two sources, to a single destination through some custom built connectors and also available market connectors. So let's dive in. Before we quickly jump there, I want to get clarity or give clarity on few of the terms. So I have done my research as well here, but I would like to be crisp here and explain for project managers who are getting started with data engineering and other areas. For them, it's more useful. So without any further ado, get started. What is difference between data ingestion and data migration? Data ingestion is putting the data from one source to the target, and having a continuous and repeated chunks of data will be transferred there. So suppose, for example, the source is AWS and target is, for example, Azure. So from AWS to Azure, if you are moving S3 bucket, for example, S3 bucket to Azure Synapse database, if you are moving it, this is the data ingestion part. You move it continuously, and over a period of time, you have a scheduler or you have some a triggerer where event triggering mechanism where the data is continuously moved. Where data migration is one-time movement, lift and shift of data, and it would move from one place to other. Next one, what is Salesforce? Salesforce is why I'm talking about Salesforce and Zywave is these were the two source data sources from where we have moved the data into Databricks. So that is the reason I just wanted to give you a tip on what it means. Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM platform. It helps to manage the customer relationship that tracks sales operations and handle customer cases and marketing campaigns and whatnot. It is into recently into AI services as well, and they have opened Salesforce Einstein, which offers the AI services. But for now, we are just concentrating on Salesforce database called Stratus module. Now, what is Zywave? Zywave is also a similar kind of data source. It's especially the data source is used by the financial players, big players in the market. Our client is also a big player who is into brokerages and insurances. So he has been using this vendor for quite long time, and Zywave also does or stores the data in a structured format for this financial client to utilize the product. Now next comes Fivetran connector. Fivetran connector is nothing but a market available connector which has full potential of seamless movement of data from source to destination, which includes, and the usage is also very simple. You just need to have the setup, credentials, extraction and loading and synchronization happens automatically. So Fivetran is something which is most reliable, and the big players in the market like them because of their 99.99% of reliability of data transfer. Although they claim it to be 100%, I feel that it's more like 99.99% of efficiency. And next one is AWS Lambda. AWS Lambda is a serverless compute, or you can simply put, like, you can write your code into AWS Lambda, and code will be running on the event based triggers based on the responses to a particular event. For example, you have uploaded data or fresh data is loaded for every 10 minutes, or fresh data is loaded on a random interval. So whenever the data is loaded, the event gets triggered, and AWS Lambda runs the code and moves the code from one source to other. Here we have done that. You can write any of your logic there. So these are the three, four areas which I wanted to explain before I dive in. Now let's go into the project. So in this project, as I was saying, we'll just go one by one. So the project started with the clients approaching us to transfer or ingest the data from one part of the system to the other part. And here we have initially set up the Databricks medallion architecture. So Databricks, for those of you who know, it has a medallion architecture which has bronze, silver, and gold layer. So initial discussion during discovery calls, we understood that the client does not need silver and gold layer transformations. They only need landing of bronze layer. So that is where we have landed the data in bronze layer. Next, as we went on, luckily for Salesforce, we have used Fitrans connector. So Fitrans connector has built in Salesforce Cloud Connector, and we have set up the authentication, authentication, and set up the source or destination as Databricks and source as Salesforce, and we have taken accounts and opportunities from Salesforce and added them. Next one is Zywave data connection. In Zywave data connection, we had to build a custom connector because Fivetran did not have a connector there, and using Fivetran there would also be equivalent to creating our own Fivetran custom configurations there. So we went ahead and used a custom connector there, and we have built AWS Lambda functions written in Python, and we use REST APIs to fetch the data. Once we have stored the data, we have put the data in AWS S3 bucket. Then we have used again Fivetran there to convert this AWS S3 bucket to Databricks. We have done this approach because of some business constraint and also technical feasibility. Next, of course, we had some layers, or we had some security protocols there, like role-based access and other things for Databricks. So we have created that ACL list, and based on the user, like data engineer, or whether he is a developer or whether he is a manager, he'll be able to access this bronze layer data. And the connections, once established, these were happening on event based, and the events, whenever they were triggered, so the data was being loaded in Databricks. On top of it, we also set up a Unity catalog layer. So for those of you who know, Unity catalog layer is the data governance layer. So for data governance, you can use Apache Ranger, or you can use other available market tools which provide data governance. But since we are using Databricks, we went ahead. The data governance layer is Unity catalog. Now Unity catalog is also been made open source, so we can use that for other projects as well. So once this everything is done, we have done the thorough testing by ingesting a minimal amount of data. Once minimum amount of data has been tested very well, we have done rigorous load testing and unit testing and integration testing, so that there is no real world breakage or real world problems that are or that are disrupting the flow of data. So this is how we have done it. And once this is we have done it, we have used scalable tools, sorry, scalable computes and servers, so that automatically it cycles up and cycles down as the need of the data comes in. So this is how we went in. Hello, hi everyone, welcome to my channel. uh, in this channel I would help or walk you through real world data engineering projects where we build data ingestion pipeline for Salesforce and Zywave into Databricks. If you are a project manager who is recently joined into data science field, and who are or you are an aspiring data uh, project manager, then I think this more of help for you. So without any ado, let's get started. The project was part of client engagement where we had a goal which is simple but critical. We need to bring the customer and business data from Salesforce and Zywave into Databricks to make it available for subsequent analytics and reporting. So we divide the projects into two main streams, that is Salesforce and Zywave, and we have used different connectors like Fivetran connectors and also custom connectors built through AWS Lambda. So I just want to give a key terms introduction so that it's easier for you to understand. So coming to data ingestion versus data migration, there is a lot of confusion on what it is. To be very simple at a very high level, data ingestion is where you uh, uh, move the data from one source to the target, and it's a continuous and repeated action. So data has will be moved from the source to destination in a repeated fashion over a particular time period or based on the event. Whereas data migration is one time lift and shift of data from one place to other. It can be anything like AWS S3 bucket or Azure, data storage, data lake, or it can be Databricks, or it can be GCP, or it can be Snowflake. So it can be anything, and that is the difference between data ingestion and data migration. And what is Salesforce? Salesforce is nothing but it's a cloud based CRM, and it helps to manage the customer relationship and track sales opportunities and hand support use cases or marketing analytics. Now Salesforce has also expanded into AI services where it's providing Salesforce Einstein for many of automations and premium services which are very good. And so this is what is about Salesforce. Now third part, what is Zywave? Zywave is a cloud-based solution. It is for insurance and financial planners and employee consultant details that are stored in the Zywave. It's especially used by the financial players, big players in the market, who wants their financial data to be stored in a certain structured format. Now, these are the two sources. Now, coming to the Fivetran connector. Fivetran connector is a pre-built, fully managed integration facility that allows seamless movement of data from source to destination, and it can be used very easily. Once you set up it, there will be extraction, loading, synchronization that happens seamlessly. And Fivetrans connector claims to have 99.9% of accuracy of data transfer from one source to the destination. Next, coming to AWS Lambda. AWS Lambda is a serverless compute that enables you to run code without prioritizing or managing servers. And here we have used it to simply upload our code, and based on an event trigger or based on an event, we were able to trigger the function to load the data from source to the target. Now, since the key terms are very well defined and laid, now let's move into the actual project. So here we are focusing on Salesforce and Zywave ingestion. Tools used are Fivetran, AWS Lambda, and Databricks layer. And architecture and real world problems also I will cover. So first I'll show you the architecture so that it makes easier for everyone. Here in Salesforce we have used Stratus module. So for the Stratus module, we have first started with setting up O authentication. OAuth has been set up, and we have connected the source to the Databricks using Fivetran connect. So in between, we use Fivetrans and AWS Lambda. So once we have selected the accounts, opportunities or cases, the required objects, these objects are validated by the client during our discovery calls, and we have agreed upon what is the SLAs that we have to define for this transfer. SLAs in sense, the minimum acceptance criteria for this project was landing all the data into the Databricks bronze layer. As we know, Databricks has medallion architecture of bronze, silver, and gold. We were only interested to drop the data in the bronze layer and set up the governance layer. So I'll be talking that in a moment. Now, once the Salesforce is connected via Fivetran, and Fivetran's credentials are we have just connected using credentials of Fivetran, and Fivetran already has a pre-built function to connect the Salesforce connector, so we could easily do that. And once we have done that, we have connected to AWS Lambda. From AWS Lambda, it's connected to the Databricks. We have created a new workspace environment in Databricks, and once the initial configurations are being set up, we have transferred everything to the Lakehouse as requested by the client. And we have thoroughly discussed this, and we have made them aware before we move the data. Next, coming to the Zywave, which is brokerage builder. So Zywave is also similar, because brokerage Zywave does not it has become little tricky, because Zywave does not have a ready-made builder within Fivetran. So they don't provide a immediate builder for Fivetran, and Fivetran also does not have any connector or custom easily pluggable thing from Zywave to pull the data. So we had to build a custom connector there. This is where things got interesting. So instead of there were two approaches. Either we could build on existing Fivetran connector, we could customize it and build and achieve the data pull, but it was equally difficult, as if it was we have to build it from scratch. So we went with the second approach of building it from scratch and connecting it to the Fivetran. So we have built that and pulled the data and stored temporarily in AWS Lambda. Once in AWS Lambda we have stored, we have done this, so it gives us through architecture the flexibility to manage the data, manage the users, and manage the failures very neatly, logs, mechanisms, and security purposes and monitoring. We have used AWS Lambda. Once this data is stored there, we have used CloudWatch, monitored Lambda functions, and IAM roles have been defined. And through S3 buckets are encrypted with AWS KMS, and alerts were sent via SNS to notify if anything went wrong. Once the data is landed into Databricks, we have organized them and data partition has been done. Raw data is made ready for further transformation. So this is how we went about solving this problem. And as a project manager, what you have to keep in mind is to understand the problem statement very clearly, going through the SOW over and over again to get good grasp of what the expectation of the client is and what the expectation from the different stakeholders are. In this case, it was only till bronze layer which the client was interested, and existence of, and also we have kept the Unity catalog, that is governance layer has been established, through which we could identify the lineage of the data. So the data governance layer on top of it, we were able to bring it out, which was giving the more extra edge for the customer, which was suggested by us, and they made the use of the this data governance layer. So as a project manager, it's definitely important to understand, number one, what is the requirement from the customer and different stakeholders. Number two, are there any additional facilities or additional services that the client would benefit from, and give them those ideas. And number three, to check the project and to check the project timelines, you require a neat architecture. So this is the high level architecture which I have drawn from the existing discussions, even before the solution architect has come up with his own idea. So once you have this simple notation or simple representation, you can take this pictorial representation for further discussions with SA and the client, and make some clarifications or modifications, and based on that we can move ahead. So as a technical project manager, I would highly recommend to build a simple flow of architecture using existing tools, so that it's easier for you to understand and make others understand what is happening. And once through this, maybe in some other video I would like to talk about work breakdown structure and Gantt charts and other trackers that I have filled and that I have created for this project as well as various other projects. So this is how I would like to end here. I would also love to understand any of similar data engineering projects that you have built, and also let me know if there are any questions or clarifications that you need, and help that you need to grow as a project manager. So thank you for your time. Have a great day. Bye.